I'm okay if this podcast thing, if it only touches 10 people. Like,
That means you checked your heart. You
yes,
checked your,
it's all about your heart posture. Like, I really mean that.
Y'all gotta tune in because this is good. It's a good one.
If you can't seem to forgive, you fighting with your pride. I gotta stand on this word and I can't compromise. Only a matter of time before we.
Faith without work is dead. We know that. You know what I mean? So you physically have to do things for faith to activate.
You people pleasing and giving peace to the wrong stuff. Come boss up, yeah.
If you don't learn to forgive, it's gonna make you even more bitter, and it's gonna put you in a more dark space because it's not about them, it's about you.
Through our lens, how I see it, baby.
What's good, bro, man? Thank you for coming through.
My brother, thanks for having me, man. I'm
Yes,
so excited.
sir.
It's funny. This is my first podcast, and I've been looking forward to it. I knew this was gonna be like a thing that God is moving me towards.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited, bro.
It's
Thanks
your
for having
first
me.
one?
It's my first one.
Dang, bro. I mean, cause I know you do photography. I know you do like your own content for your brand and your clothing and stuff like that. But I thought I've seen you do something before, but maybe this was it.
Just always speaking on camera, bro. So that's probably why.
Yeah, bro. Hey, man. So like, how's your day been?
The day is smooth, bro. This is really just like my focus season. It's a little slow with the brand deals and things. So with this free time that I'm having, I'm making sure that I like put my focus in my brand, staying consistent with my workouts, and making sure I just do the best what I can with the time I have.
That's good, bro, man. I feel like you always got to be able to like know where you are in this season. You know what I'm saying? So that's good because everybody in different seasons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's good that you know where you are and know like, okay, it's slow. Let me keep the main thing the main thing.
Yes,
you know what I'm
sir.
saying?
Yes, sir.
That's good. So where would you say like your mental is right now? Like from
My
a 1 to a
mental,
10.
Bro, like if I can explain this season of my life, I would say it's a season of stillness.
Okay.
And with that stillness, God has given me a level of peace that I have never felt before, bro.
Oh, that's good.
And with that peace, I'm like, dang, bro, like he has a purpose for me with this peace. I don't know what it's gonna be, but this peace that I feel, bro, it's my mental on 10 because I just have a peace that
That's good.
I go to him and my devotions are like so much deeper now. My prayers are so much deeper. When I'm watching a sermon, I can get more revelation a little deeper because of this peace that I have. So
Yeah, that's
my
good,
mental
bro.
on 10, bro.
That's good. So you from here? You know what I'm saying? You went to where you go to school at again?
So I'm from LA. I like to take, when people ask me when I'm at an event or something, where you from? I'm saying I'm from LA, but I always preference, I've been around where, went to school at Morehouse, so I went to Atlanta for 4 years, went to grad school at DC, so I had some experiences and met some of my closest friends in DC.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that journey in my life. And then I moved to New York to start my career in the fashion industry.
Got you.
And I moved back to LA during the pandemic, so I'm from LA, but been around.
Yeah, bro. So it sounds like it's been a whole lot of transitions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So like, take me through your like coming from LA and then you going off to Morehouse. Like, how was that? Like, take me back to the young Dane.
Let's go. Let's talk about it. So, growing up, always played sports. Got to high school, started quarterback at my sophomore year. So I'm like, oh, bet I'm going to a D1 school all the time. Started as a sophomore. So I remember senior year, around signing day, I had a few calls from schools, but no offers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, God, like, what does that mean? And I remember at my church, the pastor's wife, she was doing like altar call prayer, and I just remember crying out to God, like, God, I just feel like you're not hearing me. And I don't know what God told her, but she said it right to me, and she was like, my nickname is Bear, by the way, so they call me Bear at church in my neighborhood. So she's like, Bear, God is telling me to tell you this right now, stop worrying, I'm gonna take care of you. And I was like, wow, I had to let it go at that point. And I was like, thank you, Lord. And literally a week later, because of the offers I didn't get, I always had to fall back on my academics. 3.5 GPA, always had good grades.
Yeah.
And I got offers from different schools for academics, and Morehouse was the one that I just recently got literally the next week. And I was like, dang, well, this is something I always wanted to do. I said, if D1 wasn't the route, I'll definitely go to a black college and live up to that experience and still play sports if I could.
Yeah.
So that's what I got. That's how I got to Morehouse. Ended up calling the coach, and he was like, bro, we don't have no more scholarship, but you could walk on. They saw my tape. They was like, you fire. We'd love to like at least have you walk on, and you can like earn your scholarship the following years. And did that, took off with that, and God kind of like led me through the rest of that.
Yeah. So like you being at Morehouse, like what was some transitions that you had to deal with? Like, cause once you start talking about, you know, being an athlete and that, I'm like, yo, I already know what that even looked like. Cause being a walk-on, that's a struggle within itself. You know what I'm saying? But like, even when you talk about your faith too, you know what I'm saying, like when you said like your pastor's wife, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that you went out there, now you are by yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What did that look like as far as with your faith, but then also, yeah, with academics and football, but like how did all of that like come together? You know what I'm saying?
One thing I will always remember is God had a purpose for me in
Right.
every season and every journey I embarked. And
That's
the thing
good.
I remember as a freshman, just like getting my feet wet in school and like having balance and stuff, that was a transition in a sense, right? Like, hey, you're no longer at home now you're on your own. That was cool for me. I always was ready to kind of live on my own and be, independent.
Yeah.
I think my parents trained me in a way to be ready for that. So
Gotcha.
that was easy. But I remember going to a youth retreat, first Christmas break. My freshman year of Christmas break, and I remember it's actually going into my sophomore year. That Christmas break, I came back home. I used to go to these church retreats, and it was like at this point I was like, dang, this should be my last year. I'm still a teenager, but like I'm basically going into my adult years.
Yeah.
But this one I was like, God, I'm gonna allow you to really speak to me in this one, regardless of if I'm too old or I'm young or not. I want you to speak here.
Yeah.
And when I tell you God spoke to me in that youth retreat, that's when I started getting so much like revelation of how he wants to use me on campus
Gotcha.
and going to school. And I was like, dang. So when I got back, he said, I'm gonna use you to be a light on campus. I also want you to be know that you're gonna be the rock for your family. And I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
But 10, 12 years later, he's showing me what that means now. And I was like, dang. But he downloaded so much revelation in that season of my life. So going into sophomore year, came back on campus, second semester of sophomore year, came back on campus on fire. I started a Christian organization. It was called AUC, Unity for Christ.
Yeah.
And basically what we was doing is just, I feel like you're so distracted in college where like every Friday, every weekend, you're like, we going out. But then God was like putting it on my heart, like, why don't you do that for my sons and daughters? Like, why shouldn't we have an event for just Christian organizations are like just vibing with just us and bringing us together to be in unity and stuff. And I was like, dang, start doing like kickbacks. Start having like our own little parties, and it was like a good time. And we really started growing in Christ, and God really used me in that season to like start being a light on campus. So
yeah. I remember you was telling me that when we first met, we met in the office, bro, and I was like, well, not met in the office, but that's when we like really had that conversation, man. And I appreciate you like for sharing that, because you kind of like let me into, like what it looked like, you know what I'm saying? And especially like even when you was talking about walking through campus and like helping people and stuff like that, helping guys too, you know what I'm saying? That was like that was important, for me. It was like a key, because it was like, dang, like you can see this person's heart posture. You know what I'm saying? So now going from my bad, what's the school called again? Morehouse, then going to DC.
Yeah.
Now, like, how was that?
Man, honestly, that was such a short period of my life, but so substantial to where God was taking me. So like, I think the motivation in that for anybody's listening is if you're in a season where you feel like, dang, this is just a lateral move, or it just feels so small, God can even use those moments to elevate you to where he's taking you. So like, that was just a 1.5-year program I did for sports management. Honestly, I did the program because I didn't get accepted to Georgetown in undergrad, and I was like, I just want to show them I'm the man now. Like, I'm gonna get accepted for this program, and I did that because I really didn't know what I wanted to do in my career. But I was like, I'm not going to NFL. That was a goal. I'm not going to NFL. But I would love to be involved in the sports sector somehow, in some way. So as I started that program, it was just, man, it was temporary in a sense where that was a temporary season. But I met some of my best, closest friends there. Brothers that I still can call on right now. It's like, that's my dog, that's my brother. I also met some networking opportunities that led me to where I'm at in my career now.
So that's what I'm trying to get to. Because what did it happen? I can't remember. Did it happen in DC or did it happen in New York when you were work? Okay, boom. So get there, bro.
Get to it.
Yeah, bro. Get there.
So at the time, in my final semester of my grad school's master's program, I was basically asking God, like, God, what's next? I don't have a job lined up. I don't really know what's this going to entail. I was working with, they was called the Redskins at the time. Now they're the Commanders. I was working with the Redskins for a season. I'm just like, I knew that wasn't going to be the end goal for me. So like, I was like, God, what is next? And I started applying to all these different jobs. Everything was a no. Everything was a no. But that was because God had something better. And I remember working part-time at J. Crew, just as a retail store, and just like, I just needed some side money. And that job, little did I know, I'm thinking it was a side job. That was the job that led me to my career and what God had for me. So literally, I remember the CEO came on a store visit, a random store visit, and I wasn't even supposed to work that day.
Yeah.
But the manager, they knew that the CEO was coming that week, and it was like, hey, we need all hands on deck. We need the store to be this, that, and that. And I was like, I don't work that day, but if y'all want me to, I would love to go. And mind you, I was reading the book of Genesis at the time, and I just read about how Joseph was like, had so much favor with God everywhere that he went. And like, even to the point where like, Pharaoh saw him and was like, bro, I need you as my right-hand man.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I don't know why I'm reading this right now, but I need that kind of favor when I meet the CEO.
Dang.
And I told God I need that favor, and he said, say less.
Yeah.
You're faithful towards me, and you've been seeking me in this season. Say less. So literally, the CEO comes, and I didn't have to go out. I didn't have to go out my way to do anything. He naturally gravitated towards me. We started having conversations. My manager was like, "Oh, and he works for the Redskins too," like trying to brag about me. I was like, "Bro, I didn't need that, but cool." So he started talking about everything, and God was like, "This is the favor that you asked for. Now make the move."
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really know what to say, but like, I was like, hey, like before he left, I was like, man, I would love to get a picture with you before you leave. Like, man, I really enjoyed talking with you. He's like, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And everybody else in the store was like, I want a picture too.
Yeah.
So like everybody like did a group photo.
Yeah.
And he was like, Donna, you want your own photo? I was like, he remembered my name, first of all. And I was able to get that picture. And I was like, dang. I was like, man, I don't know like this is possible, but I would love to like shadow you at in New York, whatever, at the corporate office or something. He was like, send me an email. We'll see what we can do.
Dang.
And I didn't think nothing of it. Sent the email, he responded. This was like a week later. I told my bros, I was like, yo, CEO, I really feel like I got some favor with him, bro. Like, I sent him an email. He responded in 15 minutes. This is CEO of a corporate company, Thru. I was like, what? He responded. So he was like, hey, send me your resume, your cover letter, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
That was literally in 15 minutes. I did it. I talked to my bros. Everybody looked over my resume, made sure it was good. We sent it over. And later that week, I got a call from corporate office, and it was like, hey, like, Mickey spoke really highly of you. Like, are you looking for a job? Or like, what was it? I was like, y'all offering a job, I'll take it. But I was honestly just wanted to come for an internship or just a shadow. It was like, well, what would you want to do? And I was like, I actually didn't know what I want. I just literally wanted to come to visit.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, based on your experiences, like, if you don't know, we can make a position for you. And you can like rotate in every position within the corporate sector of the job of the company, and you can figure out which one you like best.
Want to do.
And I was like, what kind of favor is this?
That's crazy.
Got the offer, and it was wrap, and that's how I got to New York.
Crazy, bro.
Yes, sir.
So like going from LA, from Atlanta, right? Boom.
Atlanta,
and then now to DC. How is New York? Because they say LA fast, but like I know New York is fast.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
fast ain't the word.
That's crazy.
It's like a nonstop. Like, you ever been like, I don't know. You ever been in raging waters and the water just keep coming?
Yeah.
Like that little tidal pool.
Yeah.
That's what New York feel like, bro. You're constantly trying to come up for air, and it's like it's jabbing you left and right. You're like, dang. My first 8 months in New York was my biggest test if I can stay there or not. I moved to my apartment, got 2 new roommates. I knew one of them from Morehouse, was a frat brother, and the other one was a friend of a friend.
Got you.
But God was testing me in the season to like let me know what I had to endure to be able to withstand in New York.
Right.
And me being a person from LA, just jolly, happy all the time. New York is rough. People see that, they'll take advantage of you. So God was pruning me to be more like stern and tough for the city of New York.
Yeah.
And my apartment got broken into my first 2 months there. I was like, what the heck? But only my stuff was stolen.
Oh, got you.
I was like, yo, what y'all take anything? Like, y'all wasn't here? It was like, nah, my roommates act like they didn't know. And I'm not gonna ever hold that against them, right? Like, that was part of my test.
Yeah.
2 months later, boom, hit again. Only my stuff again. Now it's my car, my room again. So this is like, in the span of 8 months, my apartment got broken into 3 times, my car twice. I was like, God, I'm about to go back home.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for my sister who lived in New York at the time too, she's like, so you just gonna give up that easily? When I say those words hit me so hard, I was like, dang, it's bigger than me. And that was when I was still at Thru, but I knew that ceiling was coming to an end. And I just remember like, I said, God, you got more for me here. You wouldn't bring me through this whole journey and this testimony of how I got here to let me go out like that. And literally, I remember applying to a job with Adidas, and I got the offer, and I was like, dang, that just kind of like was the trajectory of like the new that God was bringing me into.
Yeah.
And that's when New York started feeling like I can breathe a little more. I was making a little more money. Wasn't making a lot, but I was making a little bit more. Had a new apartment, had a new roommate, and like everything was flowing from that point on. And I was like, bro, that's what New York kind of felt like, but it was a trajectory after that point.
Yeah. So my question to you is like, why clothes? Like, why fashion?
Yeah, bro. So living in the city of New York, man, you see inspiration all day. But if I was to backtrack a little bit, as a kid, I was a kid for football, for school. I'm getting my clothes out the night before.
Got you.
I'm trying to look good, feel
put
good.
That on, yeah.
Dion was an inspo. You look good, you feel good, you gonna play good. So like, bro, that was always like my motto with school, with fashion. I just always loved clothes. I love shoes.
Yeah.
I used to be the type. I would get Nike Dunks, Nike SBs, and I'll have my own like paintbrush and like paint on my own custom colors. I just wanted to be different. So God already had it, put it in me at an early age, of just the creativity part and aspect of fashion. And when I got to New York, it kind of just like revamped that. I was like, dang, I've just seen so many like fashion people, so many people like just didn't care either. They wear some wild stuff, but it's like, dang, it's fire though. Like, cause you're just your own unique person. And I was like, I knew living in New York, I was like, this is gonna be my way to like tap back into that. Like living in DC, it was like real upscale suits and hard bottom shoes. And I was like, that ain't my style. But when I got to New York, I felt that freedom again to tap back into it. So I remember picking up a camera and just like, I'm gonna start just getting content again. And like, little did I know that was another avenue for God to use me in my creativity with my camera.
Right.
Because I started taking my own photos, started doing my own content. And then people would be like, bro, like your photos are hard. Like, we'll take your photos. I'm like, oh, me. And it's like, oh, can you like do this shoot for me? Can you do this? And I was like, sure. So then I became a photographer. Yeah. And like God just started opening more doors for me just with every gift that He blessed me with. And I was like, dang, God.
Dang, that's fire, bro. So like, what would you say, what was your motivation when you were younger to now? Because you know how things change, you know what I'm saying? So like, what was that spark that got you to Morehouse from high school, and then now that you in New York, like to come back here? Because a lot of people, they set up camp wherever, you know, after college. So like, what was that driving force to get to Atlanta? And then, because I know it was football, I know you know what I'm saying, but it was like, was it like a situation like, I got to get my mama out this thing, I got to get my family out of it.
Backbone for me? So for me, I always aspired like to just leave home and go be great somewhere else.
Got you.
I don't know why God put that in my heart. But that just was always my thing. So like growing up, loving sports all the time, I used to watch college football and I watch college basketball. And all these schools just like gravitated towards me. Miami, I love the colors. If it was like, I just remember watching a lot of like black quarterbacks because I was a quarterback. So I remember watching like West Virginia when Pat White was he was dope. And I was like, dang. So I was looking at all these different schools that had like things that attracted me to it. And I was like, I'm going out of state. Didn't care. So that was always the motivation. Now the thing that God used with that was, I was thinking I knew I was a D1 prospect. I was getting calls, I was getting letters every week after games. And what God used was that motivation that when I didn't get the offer, when I went to a D2 school at Morehouse, I'm going to operate as I'm a D1 player.
Got you.
Like, that's my motivation now. I got to prove to myself and to others that I'm a D1 prospect. So that was my driving force and everything. And then beyond sports, it was the same model. Like, if you can do this in football and use that mentality, translate that into the real world. Like, you know you're supposed to be here. You know you're supposed to be where God has called you to be. So like, just go out and kill it and go out and get it. And that sports mentality and football mentality just translated in every aspect of my life. And I'm just a go-getter, bro.
Bro, that's crazy because I remember like, well, I went to Crenshaw, then I transferred to Washington, and I remember every kid that's from LA, they dream is to go to SC, UCLA, mainly SC, because whatever, the big brother school, whatever, however they got their little beef. But I remember telling myself one day, I'm like, dang, because I remember we used to get like they used to allow us to go to visits at SC, and I was like, dang, and then like I forgot how many visits we done, like me and my homie had went on. And I was like, man, this is cool. But then one time I was like, bro, I wanna do something different. So then I looked, and I think I had got some mail, and it wasn't like a letter, but it was like some mail, and it was like Boise State, and it was like they team on the front, and it was blue and orange, and I'm like, dang, that's different. And I remember taking a picture of it. This is Facebook, so I took a picture of it, and then I posted it, but then I tagged all my homies in it, because we all, like, you know, some of my homies play football, so I tagged them in it like we were on the cover, and I was like, I'm gonna go there, and this was in like 2011 or something like that. And I remember, like, after high school, had to go JUCO, but the driving force was like, for me, was like, get my mama up out of this situation. You know what I'm saying? And then I remember, so I'm looking at, like, I'm thinking about your story, but then I'm also like tailoring mine, how the driving force was so crazy, because God he will put that in you to take you somewhere else. So then you will have to lean on him. So when I got to Idaho, I'm at Boise State now, the school that I always want to go to and all this. And I remember being out there, and I'm like, okay, I did it. All right, now I got to keep grinding that grind. Like you said, the walk-on grind is crazy. But more importantly, my spiritual life. Like, I ain't gonna say that they didn't have, like, you know how you say you created a group?
Yeah.
They had stuff like that. But, like, to be honest, like, they had, like, Mormon churches. And for me, like, I'm not gonna say I wasn't open to that, but I just didn't know what that was, because I ain't gonna say, I just didn't grow up like a church kid. You get what I'm saying? I was just more in the streets than the church. So I'm like, Mormon. I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, you know, and then, you know, it ain't a lot of us out there.
Clearly.
So for me, it was like a struggle, but God was like, yo, it was crazy, because hindsight 2020.
Right.
Because like how you said, the things that you knew then, now is dawning on you, right?
Yeah.
I got out there, and I'm like, God, you bring me out here by myself?
Yeah.
Because I didn't come with nobody. I'm looking at people, had their parents move them in and stuff like that. And I remember just being in my room, and I'm like, yo, God, like, you really got me out here? Because it wasn't working out there. That's what happened. I remember the administration office hit me up talking about, we don't have your transcripts. I'm like, I'm out here, got classes, and y'all ain't got my transcripts.
What you mean?
And in that moment, I didn't know that it was spiritual. And in that time, I just was like, bro, this is karma, because I done did a lot of things in my life. So I'm just like, bro, he got me out here crazy, flat-footed, looking crazy. So like, it was. I tell people, it was one of my darkest times, but it was one of the best times that I could ever ask for, because I feel like God was like refining me in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So then when I came back, my focus was different. It was like I was laser focused. It was like the air was different. You know what I'm saying? For me, and I was able to apply every grind, that focus that I had. I was able to apply that when I got here. My mom was like, you know what, Darnell, you can go back to JUCO. Focus on football, because she, like, even to this day, she like, bro, I can still see you on TV, you and your brother, like, I can see y'all playing football. And I'm like, Mom, you know, that's gone and went, you know what I'm saying? But like, I applied that focusness, that drive into, like, at that time I was like, focus, let me just get this degree, let me just go get this AA. And then from there, that's when I met Destiny. And then that's when it changed. I pick up the camera, and I'm like, I can that it looks different, the grind looked different, but I'm like, I'm gonna just apply that into this and just see what happened. I'm, you know, take a stab at it. And literally, once I picked up that camera, I never put it back down, bro. And it's been a blessing. So like, now that you brought me through the driving force from coming from LA to Atlanta. So what was because you know how we can't last off of the old faith into a new place. You know what I'm saying? So what did that new faith look like when your car was getting broken into? Like, things were looking shaky. Like, what was that transition into, like, okay, God, I got to lean on you even more? What did that look like?
You know, the crazy part was, the reason all that stuff started happening was because I was getting closer to God.
Got you.
So as you get closer to God, the enemy will be like, I'm going to test to see how strong you are then, or if you really going to depend on God. Kind of like the Job test.
I was just,
like, oh, you really love God? Let me come at you real quick and see how much. And God said, how you consider my servant? And I'm like, God, I don't know. I'm ready for all this, but keep going. Like, but it was tough. But that, I guess, discipline I had at that time and just seeking God. And I remember I started reading the Purpose Driven Life book. And as I was getting closer to God, the tests were getting harder. And I was like, what? Why is it like, now it's like, in this season of my life now, it's like, God, I want to get closer, but I know what that come with.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of like prepared now. That's when you're a baby in Christ, when you
Yeah.
don't want to have to go through storms, but you understand that the storms produce something in you that God is bringing you towards and
Yep.
what he has for you. So now in this life, like, bro, that faith then though, I started realizing, I was like, okay, cool. That means I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
When you start getting the test, that means I'm getting closer to God.
Yeah.
So that faith was growing in that season of my life, but it's 10 times stronger now.
That's good, bro. Did you have guys that, or just people in general that you can lean on in those times, or were you kind of like a lone wolf?
It was hard to find a church home in New York at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember as I started getting a new job with Adidas and stuff, I finally found a church. And
Gotcha.
it was a good balance for me because like I always had my own personal relationship, but when you bring community in the aspect,
Yeah.
now you feel unstoppable because now you got
Yeah.
somebody to lean on, you got people to pray with, you got brothers and sisters in Christ that you just do life with.
Yeah.
And it feels a lot more smoother that way.
And stabler in the
Yeah.
sense is like how you said, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, you feel like you can run through a wall.
Yeah.
Man, that's good to hear, man, because I feel like a lot of people, what I love about this podcast, bro, is that like, you got the person, right?
Yeah.
Whoever they see on the gram or they might see in passing in the streets or whatever, you got that, but it's until you talk to that person and know what's behind that person, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I really love about this podcast, because we get to scrape back that onion, like, nah, like this is who this person is, man. Because a lot of people won't know that people had a story.
That's it.
Now everybody got a story, but they you know, it's kind of it's like, oh man, I'm going through this, but it's like, no, that person probably went through something way worse than you.
Yeah.
But look what God has brought them through, man. So I appreciate you for like giving me in the viewers like levels of like what you've been through, you know what I'm saying, and the perseverance of like just pushing past everything that was thrown your way, man.
Bro, you don't understand that this is divine in the sense where God has already given me like downloads of this is how I gotta present myself now.
Facts.
This story has been so sheltered, and God's like, bro, the people need to hear that. You think I gave you all those followers just for you to look cool?
Yeah.
Like they need to be. There's some people out there that need to know about my power and who I am and the love that I have. And if you commit to me, these are the things that come from that.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang God, but I just only like to put on clothes. Like I always just been comfortable with just putting on clothes and showing my shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
And God's like, it's bigger than that. Like it's they need to see your heart. They need to see the dedication you have towards me, so they can see that those things come when you are connected to the true source.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. And so like, this is just the introduction to me sharing that story. And I'm so excited to be able to share these stories and my inspiration and my dedication to the Lord. Like, that's why I'm so bold with it now, with my brand, with everything I'm doing now. God is centered in everything I do.
That's good, bro. What I wanted to ask you was that like, what was probably like is it something that nobody know that you went throughout each and every level? I know you said the robbing, you know, people robbing you, but was it something that it's like, I don't think I can make this. I don't think I can make it. Like, was it like, what, like, take me through each and every step. Like, was it a time where it was like, yo, I think I'm just done?
Like the lowest moment probably?
Yeah.
I would say the transition to
Was it the New York
to
transition?
DC, like that season of my life, as small as that season was, it was so vital because it was like I had nothing else to lean on but God.
Yeah, got you.
I went to grad school to give me some more time to stall about
Yeah.
what I want to do career-wise.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess it's time to start working now, but I really don't know what I want to do career-wise. And
Yeah.
I really have to depend on God in that one, right? But I will also share something as a childhood that's been kind of traumatic for me. At the age of 5, I lost my mom.
Got you. Okay.
People don't know that because my stepmom's been my life for, I would say, since she passed for the last 20 years. Yeah. So like, that was hard in the sense where it was just me and my dad and my sister.
Got you.
And like that, I think that drew me closer to God because my dad, being my only parent at the time, we was just me and him. And like my sister started going to church. She was about 16 when we lost our mom. I was 5. And she started going to the church and she was like, y'all gotta come. Well, she was telling my dad, you gotta come to church. It's so dope. I like this church.
Yeah.
And my dad came and just like started feeling the anointing and he ended up being ordained as a minister and stuff. And that got me into the faith. So sometimes we wonder like, or question God, like, God, why would you take my mom at the age of 5, right? But God, I think one thing I always realized in the midst of that, God has been faithful
Through it all.
Just through it all. He had me in his hand in every step of the way, and like, I wish that my mom was still here, right? But like, I'm grateful that he showed me that I can still depend on him. Like, a 5-year-old dude, little boy would love to have their mother, but when you learn that at an early age, I learned about God at the age of 8. I started getting in a real like strong relationship with God at 8. So like to have that and that be my leading source and how I navigate through life. Yeah. I was solid, bro, at early age.
Man, that's good, bro. That's crazy that you even brung that up. Cause I'm like, it's something there. Cause like even you talking about like you losing your mom, and I thank God that my mom is here, man. But like at a young age, my mom and my dad was on drugs, so I wasn't able to have that experience with my mom or my dad. I was in the foster care, and then I went to family, but then seeing like the transition, like bro, like it do something to you. You know what I'm saying? Like it really can make or break your trajectory of life. You know what I'm saying? You can go either way, because I feel like when I didn't even know my mom was my mom until like she would come around and like my I call her my auntie, but she's like my great aunt. She was like, oh, that's your mom, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. They would take me to go visit her, but I think having my auntie and my pawpaw in my life, that was like the mom and dad, like how you said your stepmom stepped in at the right time, you know what I'm saying? Because I needed that. I didn't know I did, but I needed that, and there's a lot of stuff that unconsciously I took from my pawpaw, right? So when he passed away, that's when things like, cause we would go to church cause I'm not gonna say he was a deacon, but I wanna say he probably was, but like, he was one, old school.
He was active in the church.
Yeah,
somehow.
my auntie had one of the big hats on.
They was
that
there.
Type vibes, right? Yeah. So it was one of those. But then when he passed, that's when like it just was like, well, I'm the man of the house, but I'm young, and the way I'm running things now, instead of like being at home, going to church, doing the stuff that you're supposed to do as a little kid or whatever the case may be. Now I don't got no covering, and that's why fathers are so important, because the covering, like how you said, your dad going to church, but then he ended up being a minister, and then it's changed your life. So for me, like that's why I view like men in a high esteem. Like I'm glad that we doing this, because now it shows men that you can do this.
Oh, for sure.
You ain't got to be at odds with your brother. You ain't got to do that. But now we can be better fathers for it too in the future. So going through that, having my pawpaw pass, and not understanding that, being angry, not knowing why, and then now I'm with a pack of friends. Now we turn to the streets. You know what I'm saying? And I was born and raised in Compton, and then when my mom got herself back together around 11, 12, because I caught my first case when I was 10. Like you know what I'm saying? It got bad early. So when my mom got herself together around like 11, 12. I moved with her, and then now I'm in LA. My first middle school was Henry Clay, and then from there it was like the wood. It was like my first day of school was like one of my old homies. His name Eric. He was like, "Hey, you a blood or you a Crip?" And at the time, I was like, "Bro," I said, "I don't bang." He was like, "All right, boom." He introduced me to all the Crips, and then that's how my enrollment started, as you would say.
That's crazy.
So my enrollment was like, "All right, cool." And then once I got introduced to all the little members, it was like up from there, you know what I'm saying? So, but I didn't have that father, you know what I'm saying? My mom was trying to plug and play individuals in my life, but it just was like, I'm cool, you know what I'm saying? But I think like I said, unconsciously, my pawpaw instilled some things into me that I did not know. That started coming out of me as like I started to mature. I feel like seeing a lot of things early matured me already, but I think like those seeds that were planted, seeds gotta go down before they come up. So I feel like how like even with Jesus, like nobody knows about him after 12, right? So it's a lot. He probably had to go down before he went up. You know what I'm saying?
Some of those seasons.
Yeah. So it was one of those times for me. But like, thank you for sharing that, because nobody knows that. You know what I'm saying? When they look, like a lot of people think just because I do photography, just because like I'm married and life looks good, like you never know what's behind this story. You know what I'm saying? So lastly, bro, I want you to talk to. I tell people like the last episode is like talk to your younger self, but I want you to talk to a young kid that might have or will probably go through what you're going through, like, just say some encouraging words or like some words of advice, you know what I'm saying? But this your camera, bro.
For sure, man. If it was my younger self or anybody that's listening, one thing I'll always say is keep God centered. And as cliche as that sounds, if you have God as your source, you will never lose. You and him, he will never run dry. If you put your hopes in man, they'll let you down. If you put your hopes in money, it'll run out. If you put your hopes in women, they'll run you dry. But if you put your hopes in God and centered in him, he's an endless supply. And it's not to say that God is a genie, but if you build a strong foundation with him, you will see that you can use him in every aspect of your life for wisdom, for finances, for marriage, for relationships, for friendships. And that's why I've been able to be successful in everything that I do.
Appreciate that, bro.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you again for coming through, man. Like I tell everybody, like, time is the most important thing that we have on this earth, and you just spent it with me, so I appreciate that, bro.
That's love, bro. I'm grateful to be here, man. Thanks for
Yes,
having
sir. Appreciate it.
me. My dog.
There we go.
Bro, I feel fulfilled, man.
We took our time to build this situation.
You need people to remind you, like sometimes when God has shown up, because fear will distort your way of thinking.
All right, bro, so tell me, what is Through Our Lens?
Through Our Lens is past photography. It's past anything that has to do with a camera, man. It's actually how we live life, bro. How everybody has a perspective.